Morning children. Today let us discuss locating the points on a graph or plane. See, here this is the coordinate plane. This horizontal line is considered as x-axis. This vertical line considered as y-axis. The intersecting point is denoted as origin, and each marked point distance is equal. The distance between the two marked points are equal. So here look here some points are located. So find the coordinates of the points marked on the graph. So how can you find the coordinates of the point P and Q and R and S? So to find the coordinates of the points, so you need to find the distance from the point to coordinate axis. So first you have to find the distance from P to coordinate x-axis and the distance from P to y-axis. So draw one vertical line from P to x-axis. Draw perpendicular line from P to x-axis and draw perpendicular line from P to y-axis. So these two are perpendicular lines drawn from point P to x-axis and P to y-axis. See children, the distance from P to x-axis, this distance is measured using the distance on the y-axis. How much distance is 3 units. So the distance from P to x-axis 3 units. The distance from P to y-axis, this distance is 4 units. So the distance from P to y-axis is x coordinate. The distance from P to x-axis is y coordinate. Okay. See children, for example P, any point. This is a point B. B is a point x comma y. So the x coordinate x equal to distance, perpendicular distance. Perpendicular distance from B to y-axis. X coordinate means the perpendicular distance from B to y-axis. See, this is a P. Perpendicular distance from P to y-axis is 4 units. So that is the x coordinate. And y coordinate, perpendicular distance from B to x-axis. Opposite. The perpendicular distance from point to y-axis is x coordinate. The perpendicular distance from point to x-axis is y coordinate. So using this information you can find the coordinates. See, this is the point Q. Draw perpendicular from Q to x-axis, perpendicular from Q to y-axis. So this distance is this distance is 4 units. This distance is 5 units. But by standing here, if you look at the x-axis, what is -4? So that is the distance from Q to y-axis is 4 units. But this is the direction changes, left side direction. So we have to take -4. And the distance from B to x-axis is 5 units. That is the y coordinate. Okay. Next, here R is the point. The coordinates of R. So if you stand here, look at the y-axis, that is -4. -4 is the x coordinate, y coordinate. If you look at the x-axis, -2. -2 is x coordinate, y coordinate is -4. If you draw the distance, perpendicular distances, so this is 2 units, this is 4 units. Okay. What about S? Draw the perpendicular from S to x-axis and y-axis. This distance is 5 units. This distance is 3 units. So here, if you stand here, look at the x-axis 3, x coordinate is 3, y coordinate is -5. So these are the coordinates to find the coordinates of your points located on a coordinate plane or graph paper. Okay. So what is mean by point? How can you find the coordinates? So for example, if you take any point x comma y, X is the perpendicular distance from B to y axis. Y is the perpendicular distance from B to x axis. Okay? For example, sometimes see here, points are located A, B, C, D on x axis. These points lies on x axis. So find the coordinates of these points. And P, Q, R. You take S. This point lies on y axis. What are the coordinates of these points? See here, A. What is the coordinate of x? X coordinate. X coordinate means the distance from the point to x axis. But this point lies on the x axis. So there is no distance from this point to this line. So the distance is 0. The distance from the point to y axis is 2 units. That is the x coordinate. The distance from point to y axis is x coordinate. The distance from point to x axis is y coordinate, opposite. The distance from point to x axis is y coordinate. There is no distance, that is 0. Here B, 3, 0. Here C, 4, 0. D, the distance from D to x axis, 3 units, negative direction. Distance from D to y axis, 3 units, negative direction, so minus 3. Distance from D to x axis, 0. So if you observe the points on the x axis, see y coordinate. So any point on the x axis, y coordinate is 0. You can write the points on the x axis, y coordinate is 0. If the points on the y axis, see here, P is a point on the y axis. So the distance from P to x axis is y coordinate. How much distance? 2 units. This 2 units is the y coordinate. The distance from point to x axis is y coordinate. So y coordinate is 2. What about the x coordinate? X coordinate means the distance from P to y axis. There is no distance from P to y axis, 0. Here also Q. Q is a point on the y axis. So the distance from Q to y axis is 0. So that is x coordinate. The distance from Q to x axis, 3 units. That is the y coordinate. And R. R is a point. The distance from R to x axis is 2 units. That is y coordinate. The distance from R to y axis is 0. That is the x coordinate, 0, minus. This is 0, minus. So if you observe the points on the y axis, the x coordinate is 0. So you have to remember, if any point on the y axis, x coordinate 0. If the point on the y axis, then x coordinate of point is 0. Okay, so we can conclude that the points on x axis, if the points lies on x axis, y coordinate is 0. If the points lies on y axis, x coordinate is 0, opposite. On the x axis, y coordinate 0. On the y axis, x coordinate 0. Okay children, write pair notes.